Reading through the Bible in 1 year, April 2nd, Leviticus chapter 5, Psalms 3 through 4, Proverbs 20, and Colossians chapter 3. Now, yesterday we went over the sin offering and the different ways that it should be given for different people in different times, depending on their role. The priests have their own, the leaders of the people have their own. The whole community of the people, if they have a specific sin that they all fall into, they don't realize it once they are shown that they are in sin, or once the sin actually, or rather, once they realize that they've been in sin, how they handle that, and also the individual person when they sin against God. These are the sacrifices they have to perform in order to make atonement for that before God. Now we're going to go over the individual cases, or not all of them, but generic cases requiring different sin offerings. When someone sins in any of these ways, if he has seen, heard, or known about something he has witnessed, and he did not respond to a public call to testify, he will bear his iniquity. Or if someone touches anything unclean, a carcass of an unclean wild animal, an unclean livestock, or an unclean swarming creature, without being aware of it, so accidentally, he doesn't realize it, he is unclean and incurs guilt. So even if he didn't know that he did it, he is still ceremonially unclean. Or if he touches human uncleanness, any uncleanness by which one can become defiled, without being aware of it, but later recognizes it, he incurs guilt. Or if someone swears rashly to do what is good or evil, note that. Even if you swear to do something good, it's the swearing of the thing. That's the sin. Concerning anything, a person may speak rashly in an oath without being aware of it, but later recognizes it, he incurs guilt in such an instance. If someone incurs guilt in one of these cases, I lost my spot. There we go. If someone incurs guilt in one of these cases, he is to confess that he has committed that sin. He must bring his penalty for guilt for the sin he has committed to the Lord, a female lamb or goat from the flock as a sin offering. In this way, the priest will make atonement for him on his behalf for the sin. But if he cannot afford an animal from the flock, then he may bring to the Lord 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons as penalty for guilt for his sin. One as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering. Remember how we went through before and it was explained how you do the burnt offering for different types of animals, how you do a sin offering for different types of animals? This is why it does that. So it doesn't have to now go through that entire chapter beforehand explaining how you do a burnt offering. That's a recipe. And now the text says, just do that. See? This book makes sense. I love this book. Okay. He is to bring them to the priest, who will first present the one for the sin offering. He is to twist off its head at the neck without severing it. Then he will sprinkle some of the blood of the sin offering on the side of the altar, while the rest of the blood is to be drained out at the base of the altar. It is a sin offering. Why is it saying this part here? Because it didn't go over that part for the sin offering. It didn't go over this part for the sin offering for just birds. If you read through the last chapter, normally where it would have that section for birds, for the poorest of the people, it wasn't there. It kind of stopped. So now that's why this part's getting explained. He will prepare the second as a burnt offering according to the regulation. See? It's not going into the detail on that, so we just got the detail of how you do a sin offering with a bird. In this way, the priest will make atonement on his behalf for the sin he has committed, and he will be forgiven. But if he cannot afford 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, he may bring 2 quarts of fine flour as an offering for his sin. He must not put olive oil or frankincense on it, for it is a sin offering. Why say that? Because you put olive oil and frankincense on burnt offerings, right? That's a burnt offering of grain. This is not for that. Now he's explaining how to do it for grain, if one would come with grain. He is to bring it to the priest, who will take a handful from it as a memorial portion and burn it on his altar, or on the altar, with the food offerings to the Lord. It is a sin offering, so just the grain by itself now. In this way, the priest will make atonement on his behalf concerning the sin he has committed in any of these cases, and he will be forgiven. The rest will belong to the priest, like the grain offering. Now, the guilt offering. Then the Lord spoke to Moses. If someone offends by sinning unintentionally in any regard, in regard to any of the Lord's holy things, he must bring his penalty for guilt to the Lord. An unblemished ram from the flock, based on your assessment of its value in silver shekels, according to the sanctuary shekel. Again, that sanctuary shekel you keep hearing, that is the standard weight of a shekel. That's the point being made. Because other people may have other weights or whatever else. They may come up with a coin that was pressed just enough so it's maybe 95% of a regular shekel. They weigh it against the sanctuary shekel so they can make sure that it's the right weight. He is to make restitution for his sin regarding any holy thing, adding a fifth of its value to it, and give it to the priest. Then the priest will make atonement on his behalf with the ram of the guilt offering, and he will be forgiven. If someone sins without knowing it and violates any of the Lord's commands concerning anything prohibited, he is guilty and will bear his iniquity. He must bring an unblemished ram from the flock according to your assessment of its value as a guilt offering to the priest. Then the priest will make atonement on his behalf for the error he has committed unintentionally, and he will be forgiven. It is a guilt offering, and he is indeed guilty before the Lord. Let's go ahead and go to Psalms 3 through 4. Lord, how my foes increase. There are many who attack me. Many say about me, there is no help for him in God. But you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, and the one who lifts up my head. I cry aloud to the Lord, and he answers me from his holy mountain. I lie down and sleep, and I wake again because the Lord sustains me. I will not be afraid of thousands of people who have taken their stand against me on every side. Rise up, Lord. Save me, my God. You strike all my enemies on the cheek. You break the teeth of the wicked. Salvation belongs to the Lord. May your blessing be on your people. Psalm 4. Answer me when I call, God who vindicates me. You freed me from affliction. Be gracious to me and hear my prayer. How long, exalted ones, will my honor be insulted? How long will you love what is worthless and pursue a lie? Know that the Lord has set apart the faithful for himself. The Lord will hear when I call to him. Be angry and do not sin. Reflect in your heart while on your bed and be silent. Offer sacrifices in righteousness and trust in the Lord. Many are asking, who can show us anything good? Let the light of your face shine on us, Lord. Again, Lord, all in caps. You can read that as Yahweh. You have put more joy in my heart than they have when their grain and new wine abound. I will both lie down and sleep in peace. For you alone, Lord, make me live in safety. Let's go to Proverbs 20 now. Wine is a mocker, Beer is a brawler. Whoever goes astray because of them is not wise. A king's terrible wrath is like the roaring of a lion. Anyone who provokes him endangers himself. Honor belongs to the person who ends a dispute, but any fool can get himself into a quarrel. The slacker does not plow during planting season. At harvest time he looks, and there is nothing. Counsel in a person's heart is deep water, but a person of understanding draws it out. Many a person proclaims his own loyalty, but who can find a trustworthy person? A righteous person acts with integrity. His children who come after him will be happy, will be blessed. A king sitting on a throne to judge separates out all evil with his eyes. Who can say, I have kept my heart pure, I am cleansed from my sin? Differing weights and varying measures are both detestable to the Lord. Again, this is referring that sanctuary shekel. And also there is a sanctuary hin and a sanctuary, basically a bushel, to make sure of the right, an omer. There's a sanctuary omer, which is another measurement for weights and measures. So it's for grain. So all of these have a standard that they are weighed against. Even a young man is known by his actions, whether his behavior is pure and upright. The hearing ear and the seeing eye, the Lord made them both. Don't love sleep, or you'll become poor. Open your eyes, and you'll have enough to eat. It's worthless. This is utterly worthless, the buyer says. But after he's on his way, he gloats. There is gold in a multitude of jewels, but knowledgeable lips are a rare treasure. Take his garment, for he has put up security for a stranger. Get collateral, if it is for foreigners. Food gained by fraud is sweet to a person, but afterward his mouth is full of gravel. Finalize plans with counsel, and wage war with sound guidance. The one who reveals secrets is a constant gossip. Avoid someone with a big mouth. Whoever curses his father or mother, his lamp will go out in deep darkness. An inheritance gained prematurely will not be blessed ultimately. Don't say, I will avenge this evil. Wait on the Lord, and he will rescue you. Differing weights are detestable to the Lord, and dishonest scales are unfair. Even a courageous person's steps are determined by the Lord. So how can anyone understand his own way? It is a trap for anyone to dedicate something rashly and later to reconsider his vows. A wise king separates out the wicked and drives the threshing wheel over them. The Lord's lamp sheds light on a person's life, searching the innermost parts. Loyalty and faithfulness guard a king. Through loyalty, he maintains his throne. The glory of young men is their strength, and the splendor of old men is gray hair. Lashes and wounds purge away evil, and beatings cleanse the innermost parts. Let's go on to Colossians chapter 3 now. Paul continues. So, if you have been raised with Christ, seek the things above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things above, not on mere earthly things. For you died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is your life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. Therefore, put to death what belongs to your earthly nature: sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desire, and greed, which is idolatry. Because of these, God's wrath is coming on the disobedient. And you once walked in these things when you were living in them. But now put away all the following: anger, wrath, malice, slander, and filthy language from your mouth. Don't lie to one another, since you have put off the old self with its practices, and you have put on the new self. You are being renewed in the knowledge you're being renewed in knowledge according to the image of your Creator. In Christ, there is there is not Jew and Greek, circumcision and uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, slave and free, but Christ is all and in all. Therefore, as God's chosen ones, his elect, holy and dearly loved, put on compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience, bearing with one another and forgiving one another, if anyone has a grievance against another. Just as the Lord has forgiven you, so you also are to forgive. Above all, put on love, which is the perfect bond of unity, and let the peace of Christ, to which you are called in one body, rule your hearts, and be thankful. Let the word of Christ dwell richly among you, in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another through psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs, singing to God with gratitude in your hearts. And whatever you do, in word or in deed, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. Wives, submit to your husbands, as is fitting to the Lord. All right, that's it. There's nothing. Oh, wait, there's more. Husbands, love your wives, and don't be bitter toward them. Children, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord. Fathers, do not exasperate your children so that they won't become discouraged. Slaves, obey your human masters in everything. Don't work only while being watched as people pleasers, but work wholeheartedly, fearing the Lord. Whatever you do, do it from the heart, as something done for the Lord and not just merely for people, knowing that you will receive the reward of an inheritance from the Lord. You serve the Lord, Christ. For the wrongdoer will be paid back for whatever he has done, and there is no favoritism. Masters, deal with your slaves justly and fairly, since you know that you too have a master in heaven. All right, and that is all the notes for here. I know I went one verse longer, but again, like I said, these chapter endings and verse numbers, these are all added. I keep wanting to say 680, but I know it's way later than that. I think it's in between 12 and 1400 AD when those were added. Anyway, all of that said, those are not, what's a good way to put this? The chapter numbers and the verse numbers and all of those things, those are just things that were added to make it easy to read the text and to find your place in it. That's all it is. So some of these get a little wonky. They don't really follow along with the themes, but that's okay. That said, that is all for today. So God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. Behold, the word of the Lord.